O'Connor at this stage. Now we come to very Listowel appropriate piece. This is what we call the Listowel racist piece. Thank you very much to the Stokes family for bringing it back. It's fabulous to have it. It's currently in conservation. I couldn't bring it down because the lady who does the conservation wouldn't let me. I tried. So I got the next best thing, and you can all have a look at it. It's over here. It's just a copy, but it's pretty good representation. It's pretty hard to read the writing because it's small and you need a little bit of time, but if you do get the time, it is well worth reading. The words are by Brian McMahon. It describes race day in Listowel over the night, the morning and the dawn. Now, so we'll move on. It's a fabulous piece, by the way, in Rynne, not just the copy. I mean, to actually see it. And Jimmy got that back, actually. Thank you very much. Come on, with. He tracked it down. Sometimes you've good helpers, you know. Anyway, this is called the Book of Honour that Eamon de Valera was given by the Jewish community in Ireland. It wasn't a piece called Eamon de Valera, President of Ireland, that was looking. And when I say piece, you're looking for one thing in a frame, not a 31-page manuscript. Now, it is the most fabulous manuscript. I've seen it, I discovered it, and the word discovery is appropriate here in that it hadn't been seen in 50 years. It was in archives in UCD. It hadn't been taken out, only the archivists knew of it. They didn't quite know what they had. They never paid it any attention. And it certainly wasn't investigated by any academics, because it wasn't related to the political life of de Valera. It wasn't related to his presidency or the War of Independence, the treaty, or anything, you know. So there was no occasion for anybody to take it out and look at it. It hadn't been seen since it had gone into archives. It is the most fabulous manuscript. I haven't got a photo of every page up here because I'm time conscious, but you can see the level of his work. It's a lovely leather-bound book, and of course, O'Connor designed that emblem too. This is some of the more important pages I'll show you, which you can see that is absolutely original Celtic artwork, modern Celtic artwork. Here's what seems to be O'Connor's sign-off. I found another book by O'Connor. It seems to have been his last act of the book, if you like. It's if to say, I'm finished. It's not a normal sign-off for any Celtic manuscript, but it seems to be O'Connor's sign-off. And here you have Maurice Fridberg mentioned, because Maurice Fridberg was a publisher, and he had worked alongside O'Connor doing this. So, and he was also a member of the Jewish community. So O'Connor would design and draw the book, and Fridberg, being the publisher, would put it all together physically, and so I suppose lay it out as well. Now, this is, even from this, and I don't have a close-up to it because I've only been allowed to see the book once. Even from this distance, you can see that it's an exquisite piece of work. It really, really is. That's the scale, just an idea to give you a scale. That's a pencil. I didn't put it there just because it looked like I'd done the drawing myself. I didn't. Not that talented, yeah. But this is, you know, if I'm going to give Dad any credit, I'll give him credit for naming this page, but I don't think that's what he meant. But this is well worth a visit. To visit it, you'd have to get a reader's card, but it is possible. And then you'd have to go to UCD archives, which is possible, and you just make an appointment, and out it comes, and they'll give you an hour or two with it. But what they've said to me is, if we comply with certain criteria, and that's storage criteria, display criteria, we can bring it here to the store. On loan. And I think that's what we're thinking about. Now, O'Connor did 4 books of honour. As we already know about the Eamon de Valera Book of Honour, and I've shown you about it, I'm not going to mention it again. He did one for Professor Leonard Abrahamson, who was a celebrated heart surgeon at the time. He did one for Robert Briscoe, who of course was Lord Mayor of Dublin. And he did one for Isaac Herzog. Now, Isaac Herzog was the first chief rabbi of Ireland, and eventually then became first chief rabbi of Palestine and what was then called Palestine, or English-controlled Palestine, or something like that, and then Israel. So he essentially became head of the Jewish population all over the world. And my only link to try, and I've tried to find them all, I'm very close to finding the Briscoe book. One of the Briscoes thinks it's in her attic. Now she's about 90 years old, so I'm not going to go climbing into her attic for her, but she did say that she has children who are coming over soon enough, and they're going to go through the attic and try and find it. It'd be lovely. And if it's another 31-page manuscript, you're rocking and rolling on this one. The Professor Leonard Abrahamson's Book of Honour, I may have found a piece of it. And when I say a piece, I think what may have happened to it was people cut it up for giving out and framing for themselves. And the Isaac Herzog Book of Honour, the only person to talk to about Isaac Herzog, the first chief rabbi of Ireland, is the current Isaac Herzog, who happens to be the president of Israel. Pretty hard to get hold of, and I was told by I got in contact with the Jewish population of Ireland trying to do all this, so don't contact him, you won't get through, he's a very busy man. I'll talk to him, he talked to me, so he did, and we had a few phone conversations, and I set him off on a journey to try and find this Book of Honour. He was delighted with the idea, but he didn't know of its existence. And he was looking through the National Library, because the Isaac Herzog Library was deposited there, and the Sarah Herzog Library was deposited there. Sarah Herzog was the wife of Isaac Herzog, the first chief rabbi of Ireland, and all sorts of things. Anyway, I got a phone call when I was in Dublin the other day shopping, and I was waiting for my partner who was shopping. I was sitting outside with my phone rang. And the president is on the line. I was told we'd take the president a phone call from the president. I will, of course. And he was very excited. He says, I found it, Stephen, I found it. He says, it's beautiful, it's full of Celtic artists. And he said, it's covered in silver. I said, and will you give it to us? You will? Yeah. He said, I will. Yeah. I said, can it come to Listowel? It can. Okay, so great. Now what I'll do is I'll email you some photographs of it and just confirm it's Michael O'Connor, and then we'll organise something, I said, okay, great. So it took about 3 weeks for emails to come through from him. Nothing was done quickly, and this email with this photograph came through. And I went, oh my God, it's no more Celtic art than anything. It is a beautiful book. It's a wonderful piece of work, but it's certainly not Michael O'Connor and not what I was looking for. So he's still looking. He's a very good assistant, but I think I might have to mark him down on his report when he's finished and when he wants to move on. Anyhow, Michael O'Connor took Celtic art, not just inspiration from insular art, but here's a contemporary piece he did, and you might know the piece. It's the Irish Standards Design Pedonic Airlock, which is C, E, and we had the Sheena Fada, of course, and it looks like an eye looking out for you, the Standards Design. And it's around Listowel, actually, I've been told. I think Mary has said it, that it's on Inishka, one of the little things going around, the water caps, if you like. So go around and have a look out for them, and you might see it, and then you'll know who did it. So, Liverpool Cathedral, O'Connor was commissioned for a book called The Golden Book, which is a book of subscriptions, really, to a new chapel being built, and he did all the artwork for it. Here you can see it's very high-end Celtic knotwork, again without any grids. And here's your book clasp. I go quickly through it, but it is fabulous. Father Brendan went over to Liverpool and had a look at it, and you can see again how good it is. But this was a guy who was only doing his work late at night when the children were in bed, and up to about 3 o'clock in the morning. No, he did it over perhaps 15 years, but he was prolific. I mean, he absolutely, he had far more commissions than anyone thought possible in this, because it's a slow work. Here you have more of the Golden Book, just pieces of Celtic art, just showing his skill. Now this is quite an early commission anyway. I think this is probably 56, 57. I think it's before the Listowel Races piece. But now, these are books I'm currently looking for. The Isaac Herzog, the Robert Briscoe, the first and Leonard Abrahamson book. I want to look for more of that. Proclamation. Prayer Scroll for JFK, an interesting one here. When JFK came here in 1963, he was presented with a prayer scroll. It doesn't seem to be in the JFK library in America, but I do know it was a prayer by St. Francis, which, "O Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace." And the same prayer scroll was given to Pope Paul VI on his first address to the United Nations 3 years after JFK had died. Because Pope Paul's first address to the United Nations was on the subject of peace, and peace between India and Pakistan when India was breaking up and forming Pakistan apart. So there's an item also for Pope John the 23rd. I don't know, I think Vatican archives are getting tired of me asking. I don't think they're ever going to relent, or at least I might have to wait another 400 or 500 years. The item for Al Nasser of Egypt, I haven't even begun to think about how I'm going to get that one, but I'm going to try. Christmas cards by Orient Press. I know there's a few of them knocking around. Planned by both sides. It's actually more difficult to get in contact with than the President of Israel. And Lord Ivy seems to be living his own life, but I know he's got a piece of Michael O'Connor's. Now, Vincent O'Connor, another Listowel-born person. He moved to America, to Chicago in about 1915. He's the brother of Frank O'Connor, I think it is the author, is it? Joseph O'Connor, the author, excuse me. And now he was commissioned in 1934 for, I think it was 34 or 32, is it? What does it say there? I can't see. Anyway, he was commissioned for Micheál Mac Líamór sort of pageant that was done at the World's Fair in Chicago, and he did this. You can see a little bit of modern Celtic art there. He was from Listowel. He didn't do an awful lot, even though he does have a repository of work in the Notre Dame University, which I haven't got my eyes on yet, so I don't know what else he did, but I do know he did caricatures. He studied under William Orpen, in fact, and he was quite good at it. What he did, but here you can see a bit of zoomorphics. Not the Book of Kells, but not bad. Worth doing. Now, we come on to Galvans of Galvan. Very interesting. Oppenheimer were doing the church, and I'm sure you're all aware of the church. The beautiful mosaics that are behind it. None of it Celtic art, by the way. But O'Galvan had the foresight to ask them to do the sign to his shop, and they did. And subsequently, in 1921, Black and Tans told everybody in Listowel to cover up their name signs that were written in Irish. It was covered up with a board, and Galvans was mentioned on it. And then back in the 80s, there was a restoration project. They took off the board, they found this, and it's beautiful. And it's Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer did the Honan Chapel in Cork. This isn't the Honan Chapel, but if anybody from Cork says to you, well, we got the Honan Chapel, you can always say, well, we got a bit of Oppenheimer too. Because nobody else has, even Celtic art. They did an awful lot of churches, but when it comes to Celtic art, they did, I think, the floors of the National Museum, a few other bits and pieces. but Listowel has a bit of Oppenheimer Celtic art, and it's a rarity for a small town, 3,500 people to do that, to have that. So we have an unknown here, but it's the grave in front of the altar. I've put it in because it's quite decent, and it's Celtic knotwork that isn't on the cross, it's outside of the cross. It's also a different medium, that's why it's going in. It's the gravesand of Canon Thomas Davis, 1911. He was responsible for the Oppenheimer work, or commissioning them from 1907 to 1911. So he's essentially the person responsible for all that beautiful mosaic work. But this piece of Celtic art, I think, just worth mentioning. Now, Micheál Kelleher's works, I think this is where I'm going to say interpretation comes in, because what you have here is knotwork and key pattern, and I think they're Micheál's, sorry, I don't think I ever called him Michael, it's always Micheál, but I think the interpretation is quite good. Now, I want to get on to another piece he has, not this one but the next one, but here it is in a different media. You've got slate and you've got a bit of wood. His knotwork here is quite good, and around here is decent. Again, you've kind of Celtic style stuff here going on, and flag, kyo and pump poster, it's very good. But this is the one I want to talk about. This, I think, is a very intelligent piece of art. I see here a monstrance. A monstrance is that cross that shows off the Eucharist when they go around the Corpus Christi. It's the absolute epitome of display of your Catholicism or display of your religious beliefs. It's everything got to do with showing off. And then what you have here beside it is a penal cross, which is everything what you've got to do with secrecy. And I think it's an intelligent juxtaposition between the two. And why have I got it in Celtic art? Well, because the penal cross is folk art, and there's a lot of symbol work that had gone on in penal crosses during the time. It's before the Celtic revival. But with folk art, you had to have something like it to usher in the Celtic revival, and that's why I have it in here. So, and I think it's a fabulous piece, actually. Now, Paddy Fitzgibbon, this guy's one of my heroes in terms of Celtic art. You might be able to say that O'Connor would be one of the heroes. He isn't. I think if I was to pick two, it'd be McAuliffe and Paddy Fitzgibbon. And the reason Paddy Fitzgibbon is in here as a hero is because this is absolutely unique. This is him taking a new medium, making Celtic art out of it, never been seen before. Now, pins and wire have been seen before, but never in the form of Celtic art. So what you have here are three pieces within the town that nothing like it exists in the rest of the world. Now, somebody could do it, but it's not done yet. And Paddy Fitzgibbon had the vision, the foresight to go ahead and do it. And it's beautiful. And we have over here a piece from Pearson Fitzgibbon, which you can see, take a look at. It's actually his earliest of the three pieces, so it's the most rudimentary piece of the three, but it's worth a look. And you can see how he went from that to that, and where his progression comes on, and I'll show you here in a little bit. I mean, to sit down and to be able to do that, I was assured when I had a phone call with Mrs. Fitzgibbon that Paddy destroyed her sitting room time and time again with bits of wire and old pennies, anything he could find, he put in it, anything to create a bit of a shape. I'm half surprised there isn't a Barbie doll head or a leg or something to be found in it, but there isn't, and it has worked out magnificently. You can see the Celtic nature of it. He's even got his zoomorphics in. I think it's fabulous, I really do. There's the Fitzgibbon piece, that's what we have on display tonight. And we have the one over in the school, which actually is considered to be his latest piece of the three, and his nicest piece. It doesn't look like the nicest piece there, but when you go in a little bit, you can see it's a bit more elegant. You can see that it's a bit more better. You know, he's had his practice and he's getting better. And it's well worth doing. And just to take for example, there you have that piece in the middle. It's not quite an ampersand, but he does have an ampersand over here. If you have a look at it later on, it's very rudimentary. It's not quite ampersand on steroids as O'Connor did, but it is a better one. So you can see how he progressed over time. Tony O'Callaghan is underrepresented here tonight in terms of what I have to show you, because I talked a lot about O'Connor, but that's only because I did a lot of work on O'Connor over the last 4 years. But Tony O'Callaghan has some especially high commissions to his name as well, including popes, including presidents, including Taoiseach, and the list goes on. You know, he was prolific as well. Here's Donald Trump giving a piece to Ronald Reagan. Derek Davis. I know. He does look a bit like Trump. And anyway, and here's Tony O'Callaghan with the piece himself. It's quite a good piece. Of course, you have your Celtic knotwork here, and it's just a Tipperary coat of arms. But O'Callaghan does a bit better than that. And he obviously was well read, and he obviously was well researched. He did. This is not his work, this is the Celtic Crozier, but it's where he got the inspiration for his work. And what you have here is just the inspiration from there, okay? And it's very well done. Now, here you have St. Mocha's pets. Now, I'm going to dispute this because I know that St. Mocha had 3 pets, and they were a rooster, a mouse, and a fly. And I don't see a rooster, a mouse, and a fly here. Yet the label does say that this is where the pets are. But I think it's incorrectly labelled. I think this, I'm sorry I don't have a better photograph of it, or at least a better zoomed in piece of it, but it's fantastic. It really is. The horses and the knotwork that goes in and out of it. It really is fantastic, and it's a credit to him. And here you have, I'm not even going to explain it, you know exactly what it is, the Tower Brooch. You're going to see a few of them coming up, actually. Now, and here he is presenting a piece to the Pope, a piece I don't have a photo of, I don't know what it is, I'd love to get a hand on it. But like I said, this was, this is an information gathering session as much as an information telling session. So perhaps somebody will know what sort of design it was, and perhaps somebody will have a photograph of it somewhere. It would be lovely to know, because the 2 pieces that O'Connor did for popes, I don't have even photographs of. So I'd like to get a photograph of the piece that was done for John Paul II. Eileen Moylan. Now, here we're getting on to queens and everything. So there she is, Camilla. Eileen Moylan was commissioned to give her a piece, and she did a bookmark, which we actually have bookmarks up for sale there. But this is running gold. Sorry, we don't have one of those. But the writing is in Gaelic script. I mean, it's not strictly Celtic, but Eileen Moylan did a lot of Celtic work. I think just to show the value of her commission, we put in these 2 photos. Now, here we have interpretations of the Tower Brooch. They're incredibly well done. The filigree is quite fine, and they're impressive pieces. Her work is top end. It's very, very professional. Knotwork patterns in filigree. I'm particularly fond of this one and this one here, but you can see the quality of her work. Now, she's Listowel born. She's working over in Cork, somewhere in Cork. I can't remember the name of the town. And she has a few people working for her, but she's very proud of her Listowel roots. And I think her father and mother are here tonight. Yes, there they are. And her father runs a museum of old radios. So I think that's worth a visit too. Maybe I might do that tomorrow or the day after I get to see the monorail. See, you have a fabulous town here. It's amazing. You have 3,500 people in the town, and you've got a monorail, you've got a museum for this, a museum for that, you've got artworks on your buildings. I fall in love with the town. It's absolutely fabulous town. Be very proud of it, and very proud of the people that came from it as well, and the artwork they've done. Now, the engraved knotwork here, we have particularly high-class stuff going on here. I mean, it really, really is. I had a close look at it, and it's fantastic. I asked a friend of mine, Stephen Walker, what he thought of Eileen Moylan's work, and he raved about it. Now, Stephen Walker is maybe a friend of mine, but he's also a world authority on silver work and jewellery and Celtic Renaissance or Celtic Revival. He's written numerous papers on the subjects, and he knows what he's talking about. And he's also the founder of the International Celtic Art Conference, and I'm hoping to bring the International Celtic Art Conference to here in about 2025 and 2026. And Stephen Walker seems pretty keen on the idea too, because essentially you're looking like the world capital of modern Celtic art. Now, your Trescunians here, that's the mayoral chain of Kerry, and just a pendant there, but you can see the quality of the work. Again, it's Celtic related, and now, yes, we better get back here now for a second. So that's the end of Listowel. But I would be remiss of me if I didn't mention this man. Now, he's already been mentioned. I told you Jimmy had been telling you the whole story before I got up here at all. But Micheál O'Riordan was from Killarney. And there was a lot of people, as you know, interred in 1921 up in Ballykinlar beside Downpatrick during the War of Independence. A lot of Kerry men. And they sent back these newsletters, but they also made books of the prisoners, with the prisoners' signatures. And Micheál O'Riordan made a number of these books, and to ornate them, he used what people went to when they really got to their base, and that's when you're interred in a prison camp, Celtic art. How do they inspect them? You know, if you were suddenly Michael Reedy down in Killarney, and you were interred up in Ballykinlar, you suddenly became Micheál O'Riordan. And what became important to you was Celtic art. At least it seems to be. And I just love this. It's incredibly endearing stuff. And I thought I'd introduce you to it, because I think there's an opportunity to get this stuff down to Listowel for display as well. What you have here is names of prisoners, probably from Kerry, because Micheál O'Riordan was from Kerry himself. But you can see how rudimentary it is. These are the materials that they had to work in the internment camp. And you do have the list of the Kerry men here. Again, you have a bit of Celtic artwork. This is back in 1921. It's pure Celtic revival stuff. And you may recognise a few of the names. You know, you have Listowel here, where you have Thomas or Hertig, Listowel, and then you have Porrick something, and then you have them all there. Well worth a look. And if I can get them down here for display, I will. And I know who to talk to about that. They are available. But all of these things that you can bring that are fragile, that are precious. Yes, people are willing to give things on loan. Yes, people are willing to let you say, yes, you can display it there. But subject to certain criteria. And those criteria have to be met. Because everything degrades. And you have to have certain storage criteria, and you have to have certain display criteria with the correct atmosphere, the correct lighting, the correct light bulbs, the whole lot. But these things, the books of honour, the Ballykinlar stuff, they're all available.